The war, Pepe, so far, look at the targets that Iranian had. It was basically radars, the gathering of American soldiers, you
Hmm.
know, the weapons, ammunition, everything they had in the region. They were basically the main targets of Iranian attacks, not only in the Arab states, but also in Israel as well. You know, so right now, I think one of the reasons you look at the curve, initial days of this war, you see the curve of the number of drones and missiles fired by Iran was so high. Then
Yes.
as they destroyed everything in these bases, you see the number is just getting, you know, to the stable line. And
Hmm.
right now, I think the sustainability of war was in the mind of Iran, how to sustain this war, how to continue this war as time
Hmm.
goes by. But if the United States escalates, because Donald Trump is talking about 4 weeks, in the mind of Iranian, it's not 4 weeks. It's going to
No,
be long, long game.
long,
It's not. It's
long
like
war.
a long war. Even Israeli media is just saying that. Yesterday they have more than 760 drones were shot at Israel, and mostly sensitive locations in Israel were hit by these drones. And the estimation on the part of Israelis is that these Iranians are producing huge number of accurate and cheap attack drones. And
Hmm.
Iran is preparing for a long battle. This is the calculation on the part of Israelis. I think
Hmm.
that's the reality that you know from what from what I understand, you know from the Iranian military and their strategy is this way. They want to continue this war. They won't, go up and down. If some escalation happening, as Donald Trump was talking about yesterday, they're gonna respond the same way, even twofold, two times, three times the way that they're attacking Iranian infrastructure. But we have to understand that all around Iran, you see from Iraqi Kurdistan, going to the south, going to we have these American bases, these somehow collaborators with the United States. So Iran must take care of all of these issues around the country. That's why I think even with the attacks on desalination, schools, water resources, Iran keeps its focus on the strategic targets. But
Hmm.
as these targets are totally depleted, I think, totally out of work, they're not working anymore for the United States. That could hugely influence the economy in a long run, as you've mentioned, because it goes to the oil facilities, gas facilities, desalination. These are huge escalations, as Donald Trump was talking about it just yesterday.
Well, the most rational strategy for Iran now would be to raise Israel to the ground, much more than the Gulf petromonarchies. And the Gulf petromonarchies, the important stuff in Bahrain and Kuwait was already hit. They can re-hit them. Saudi Arabia depends on how Saudi is going to act from now on, of course. And the key target is the Emirates, because once again, the Emirates are de facto at war against Iran. So Iran should go against the infrastructure of the Emirates, and that's it. It's not very complicated to erase it, you know, because they already know what's coming from the Epstein syndicate combo, which is indiscriminate bombing nonstop. So they have to respond in kind. And these are the two key targets, Israel and UAE. Probably this is going to be the logic already starting from now on, the next few weeks. And obviously, off ramps are out of the question. You saw the attempted assassination of Kamal Karazi. Eh?
Yeah,
His wife
yeah,
was
yeah.
killed, and he's probably seriously injured.
Mm.
He was one of the last negotiators still alive. After Karazi, there will be no negotiators left. It will be an IRGC hardcore. That's it. And they will go all the way. So the possibilities of an off-ramp they diminished substantially this week, this past 48 hours. So that's it. We are into the logic we are into the infernal escalation machine, as I dubbed it in one of my articles last week. We are right in the middle of a non-holds-barred escalation machine with no off-ramp. It is terrifying, really. At least from the point of view, coming back to the big picture, we already have some of the results of this war, whatever happens next. One, the Empire of Chaos will never gonna get these military bases in West Asia back. Never. These are gone forever. Number one. So, and this was one of Iran's demands. Number two, the new regime in the Strait of Hormuz. That's it. It's not gonna back to what it was before. It will be negotiated with Oman. So the Iranians already set up how it's going to work on Iranian territorial waters. And Oman can do the same thing if tankers go through Omani territorial waters. Same thing. But it's both of them. It's a different system, completely different. Half of it is already in effect. That's it. You need to pay the toll booth. You need to communicate your essential information. You need approval by the IRGC Navy. Then it's okay. There are different strata. You can have government-to-government deals. For instance, already applies to Sri Lanka, Thailand, Philippines, India, already applies. It may apply to Iraq. It may apply to others as well later. With China, no problem. It's part of the strategic partnership. So let's see the West, and especially the West that applies sanctions to Iran. These are completely red card to all of them. So we will depend to perhaps individual Western nations trying to strike deals with Iran. That's another story. But the new system is already there. It has been approved by the Iranian parliament, and that's it. It's going to become law, and that's it. And there's nothing nobody can do about that. So these results are not provisional results. These are long-term results of the war already in front of us. And the third one, which is more immaterial, almost metaphysical, is that the aura of invincibility of the empire, it's over also forever. And this has been seen by the Arab street, by the lens of Islam, by the global south, by everybody who has eyes and a functioning brain. That's it. They will never recover from that. So couple all of the above with the petro-yuan in effect in the most important choke point of the planet. That's it. You have, I would say, 70 to 80% of the most important consequences of the war already happening. So what do they plan to achieve, Nima? Bomb Iran to rubble? Is this going to change any of the above? No, absolutely nothing. The horror story will be, of course, for Iran as a nation and for 90 million Iranians. But they may rebuild. They have in them to rebuild. And the example of a sovereign resistance civilization state going head to head with the empire practically alone and making the empire scream, wow. This is the big lesson of the 21st century, which none of us was expecting would happen so fast. It's happening right now in front of us. This is the way multipolarity begins. Under fire. There's no other way. That's it. So obviously, Nima, we cannot expect those barbarians to understand conceptually what we're talking about. They feel that everything that they had imagined, not planned because they didn't plan anything, everything that they imagined went horribly wrong. Now they want it to end, they don't know how. And they know that if it ends with their defeat, with their strategic defeat, which hurts even more. So there's no way out for them. This, in many ways, explains their blind rage. So, their blind rage is diverted to bombing civilian infrastructure. If this is going to change anything, no, it won't. And it will harden Iranian resolve even more. Now I have a question for you, Nima. It's very sensitive. It's of course it's speculative, considering it comes from different points across the Shiite world, across the Arab world, across Islam as well, and some informed people across the West. Can we say that the IRGC now is in full control of the Iranian state? And Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei is a sort of virtual, referential, very important figure, but he's not making the final decisions. I'm asking for your personal analysis. You can give your analysis as an Iranian. It doesn't have to be a geopolitical analysis.
No,
right?
no. I think what's going on in the era of, the new leader, the new supreme leader of Iran, Mojtaba Khamenei, Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei, is that he's going to be pretty much, in my opinion, he's going to have the same sort of relationship with IRGC. It means that after all, he's going to call the shots. It's not IRGC. But he has a very robust and close relationship with IRGC. Somehow we can say that both are the same. I think the correct way is that there is no gap between the two. That's why they're so united in their goals, in their aims, in their objectives. So there is no way to go, to find something bit in between, some sort of gap. So what would be the strategy as time goes by with this war in the Middle East, in my opinion, would be the supreme leader of Iran, together with IRGC, they don't see these Arab states, the people who are living in these Arab states, as their enemy. They see them as their brothers, as their sisters. This is the reality. People need to understand that. And what is happening in terms of the leaderships in this country is something totally different. And they recognize the difference between the people and the leadership in these countries. And that's why I think in a long run, the policy would be getting closer to the people in the region. Making the resistance, the whole Pepe, you look at the axis of resistance, it's not based on, some people who are running the show, who are close to each other, the leader of, resistance in Iraq and the leader of resistance in Yemen. It's about the people. The Shia faith that is bringing all of them together. I think that after what has happened in Gaza, in the West Bank, is bringing not only Shia Muslim, but Sunni Muslim all together. That's a new sort of tone. That's a new sort of attitude, a new sort of move that is happening from within the Muslim community. And many people in the West, they don't understand it. They don't appreciate what's going on. That's why Benjamin Netanyahu is talking about he wants to make some sort of alliance against the axis of resistance. God, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. If MBS or MBZ, Mohammed bin Zayed decides to make some sort of alliance with Benjamin Netanyahu, it's going to be MBZ together with his people, going to be 20 people, 100 people. That's all. It's not about the population in those countries. We have to understand that. We have to understand what's going on. You mentioned the case of Bahrain, the case of Kuwait. These are huge, sort of changes that are happening in the region. And Iran understands that. That's why I don't see, even not only between IRGC and the supreme leader of Iran, I would say even those people mostly to the, the reformists, you see the way that, Pezeshkian, just compare Pezeshkian today and Pezeshkian what it was when he was elected. You just read his tweets today, yesterday, and the tweets he was posting before, when he got elected in Iran.
The open letter.
The tone has changed. The tone has changed. There is no difference. The people trying to draw a line between IRGC and reformists and leader, I think they're all getting together because this is Iran fighting the empire. Is not, IRGC fighting the empire. It's Iran, the whole Iran, the population. Iran as a country is fighting the empire and its vassal, its proxy in the Middle East, which is Israel. This is the reality, I think.
Did you have I haven't seen this anywhere. Was there any direct communication between Ayatollah Sistani or Ayatollah Sistani's office and Ayatollah Mujtaba so far?
They have.
I haven't found this anywhere.
They have close connections. They have close connections. Actually, he was congratulating Mujtaba Khamenei on his new position as the supreme leader of Iran. He issued.
Sure, but I'm talking about a closer context, not only this formal acknowledgement.
I see.
People are talking. I imagine
they're talking all the time, 24/7. They're talking to each other. There is not only between Ayatollah Sistani and supreme leader of Iran, but also the whole axis of resistance. They are communicating with each other.
That's for sure.
That's a huge communication line that is happening. Before Pepe, the war happening, nobody was even thinking of the resistance in Iraq. They did everything. We were talking about Yemenis and Ansarullah. We were talking about Hezbollah. And how they were underestimating the two parties, Yemenis and Hezbollah. They're totally different from what they were pictured before in the mainstream media. And right now, they know the reality of these two forces. The importance of Iraq, Pepe, is something else because Iraq is on the border, has a common border with Iran, and they are close to these, Iraqi Kurdistan, these Kurdish, terrorist groups. They are the basic line against these Kurdish terrorists if they decide to do something. That's why I think Iran has totally dominated the region so far. Everything is under the control of Iran. And that's why many people, they're so comfortable with the war they're in. They know what they're doing. They know what is the long run, what would be in a long run. But Donald Trump is trying to disrupt everything by attacking civilians, bring the pain to the people. This is what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
And the other point, Pepe, for you, my question to you is how Russia sees the whole situation right now. We had
that's tricky. That's very, very tricky. Very tricky. We were supposed to go there this month, but they canceled everything in Moscow. We were told that there's total concentration on the war. So meetings or conferences, they canceled everything in April. But there's the debate now in Moscow. It's It's very sophisticated. It's very tricky because there are a lot of people making direct comparisons between the Kremlin's attitude towards the SMO and the Iranians' attitude towards the American war against them. And some of these comparisons are not very flattering to the Russians. We can imagine how. But still, it's these discussions are very, very tricky because depending on how you formulate it, you can instantly be branded as non-patriotic or a traitor. So you can compare the methodology of the SMO, of the Kremlin, of the Russian Ministry of Defense, and the fact that why they have not, I would say, went for the kill, for the jugular of NATO so far. And we understand the motivation long term. And of course, in the case of Iran, they need to go for the jugular like they started to do from the beginning, because for them it's an existential war. It's a war inside the Iranian nation. The war in Ukraine is different. It's inside the new regions of Russia, but it comes from outside. It comes from another nation supported by NATO. That's a completely different story. But I'm very curious next time I am in Moscow to get deeper into it, because there are some rumblings that maybe the situation is about to change. That perhaps Russia this year, finally they go for the coup de grace, and the pieces of the puzzle are being moved in a sense that Russia has a very strong probability this year to go for the kill, if they choose to. Iran is not a matter of choosing. Iran has only one choice: defend themselves and inflict maximum punishment to the Americans and the Israelis. It's different. So, but in terms of the support, for instance, what Lavrov said a few days ago was fascinating. He confirmed that Russia is supporting Iran, but he didn't get into details, because these details are a matter of the Minister of Defense and the big guy up there. It's a state secret, but everybody knows that it's substantial, especially in terms of intelligence, and especially in terms of precise satellite coordinates for the Iranians, so they know exactly what they're going to strike, and they strike with maximum precision. This is the merit of Russian intel, no question about that. So this is not going to change. And of course, there is once again rumors, but okay, we have to first we have to see where these rumors are coming from. That there was an unmistakable message from the Kremlin that if Israel tries a tactical nuke or even a nuke against Iran, there will be consequences. And I'm sure the Americans got the message. Obviously, those psycho killers in Tel Aviv, they don't get messages from anybody. But I'm sure the Americans got the message and told the Israelis, go slow, because then if it happens, it's not us. You're on your own. But the situation, as we all see, is moving literally all the time. It's totally fluid. It can go anywhere. All horrible options remain on the table. And of course, because of that, all the possible rational off-ramps are not on the table, or they stay on the table 1-2 days and then they disappear again.
I think, Pepe, what the outcome of this war for Iran would be, they're gonna, after all, they're gonna withdraw from NPT. Iran is not going to be part of NPT.
They have to. They have to. They have to. There's no sense for them to be in the NPT anymore.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And in terms of the nuclear program, Iran is not going to negotiate with the United. Iran doesn't care anymore about sanctions, about anything, because right now with the Strait of Hormuz, and their plan is somehow changing from petrodollar to yuan dollar. They know how important it is.
It's already petro yuan, and they found a source of income. So they don't even need to sanction. So what? Now we have our own income. We collect our own income in our own territory. This beats any sanctions. In fact, they found with one move, it's fascinating, Nima. At the same time, they beat sanctions, SWIFT, and petrodollar with one move. This is beyond clever. Obviously, they gamed that before. This was one of the first things, obviously, that they gamed years ago, certainly. But that's what it took to, and this is the move that destabilized the empire completely. Once again, because these idiots never, I'm not talking about the industrial military complex as a whole. I'm talking about the idiots around Trump, the 3 or 4 people that he listens to. Obviously, they never planned it. They never thought that this would be feasible. Once again, they thought that they had a weekend war, that they would win, and on Monday it'll be mission accomplished, and the market's going up. And now it's too late. And you can see the rats scurrying as the Titanic flounders, right, Nima? He's trying to throw anybody in front of him under the bus. It's not my responsibility. Now it's the responsibility of NATO as well. So it's the planet's responsibility, except his. And he's the guy who gave the final order. Typical, man. Cowards. All cowards react the same way.
I think NATO is done, Pepe, with what has happened in this war against Iran. Because Europeans are somehow, even Austria came out today, said you cannot use our airspace to attack or bases to attack Iran. And this is the new reality that Donald Trump is so much difficult for him to digest, because for such a long time he was putting pressure on them, from 2% to 5%. No, the people would ask themselves in Europe, what is happening? If they cannot defend, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, and how come they can, how come can they, how come would that be possible? Or somehow, is it possible for the United States to help Europe anymore? Because they have these forces in Germany for such a long time. It's not something new. In the aftermath of World War II, they're in Germany, and AfD, the head of AfD, is talking about the United States should leave Germany. This is the reality. The new reality is not just about the leadership, but the people are feeling that way. What is the importance of the United States in Europe anymore? If Iran can remove the United States from the Middle East, for Russia, it's going to be just easy to remove the United States if they attack. And Europe needs to make some sort of understanding of what's going on. I think with the Strait of Hormuz, they're coming to some sort of sense. They want to break a deal for Iran, with Iran, without the United States. Do you see that happening in Europe, understanding the reality?
Let's say that it took them something like this, which is, okay, sooner or later, you're going to have zero energy to wake them up a little bit. We don't know what's going to happen next. Another very important and in effect consequence of the war, the progressive dismantling of NATO. It's already in effect. NATO, many of us were talking, okay, the NATO and the EU are going to collapse. It's going to take a while. It's going to be a parallel process. Much, much faster than any of us could ever imagine. NATO is already collapsing now, in real time, in front of all of us. And it was not because of Ukraine, of the proxy war in Ukraine. It's because of the empire, the war of choice of the empire against Iran, because then it touches. It's, of course, Ukraine has an energy component, no question. But this is much, much more serious. The Strait of Hormuz is the ultimate bottleneck. If you touch the Strait of Hormuz, the whole global economy is affected. And the Europeans, now they see that they don't have energy, extra energy from anywhere. No Russia, no Qatar, nothing. They have to do something. So maybe this is the beginning of, I wouldn't bet on it, Nima, considering the astonishing mediocrity of the whole European political class, with 2 or 3 exceptions. But obviously they are already starting to, okay, we need to do something. Okay, at least. But the process of the parallel collapse of the EU and NATO got a big boost with the war as well. That's another positive consequence. How they're going to fare without the US, that's another story. It's their problem. They never thought this day would come. It's right, it's knocking on their doors now, and they have to come up with a solution. And when you hear, of course, they will never change their mindset from one day to another. I was reading the usual, Polish or Baltic Chihuahuas, Finland, saying now we need to reconstitute our defenses against Russia. It's always against Russia, right? Okay, with their spectacular armies, we cannot conquer a hot dog stand, and they want to reconstitute their armies to fight Russia. Good luck.
Amazing. Yeah. I think Donald Trump asking Poland to send their Patriot.
He said, no, we have 1 or 2.
After South Korea, right now Poland, and are you gonna, send everything to help Israel? It's unbelievable.
It is.
People need to understand, the United States is prepared to sacrifice everything for Israel.
Of course, but now it's in the open. It's not unbelievable. It's believable because now everyone has proof in front of the whole planet that the only thing that matters for them is that cult over there. Everybody else is a vassal that you can use, you can profit from. But, when the going gets tough, that's it. You have to save the cult.